And I will also be turning on the recorder, and I think it's going to tell all of you that we are now recording. There we go. I can't trick anyone anymore. No tricking. And I will also be turning on the recorder, and I think it's going to tell all. Oh, that's me, isn't it? We are now recording. That's me. Okay. That really confused me because I was like, who is that person that sounds a lot like me but isn't me speaking right now? So, welcome everybody to Taking the Lead. I'm really, really excited about this event, and you're going to be speaking or hearing from some fantastic women this evening as well. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we do at Coding Black Females as an organisation, and also what we'll be doing for the rest of the session today as well. So, for those of you who haven't been to a Coding Black Females event before, or you don't know what Coding Black Females is, we are a community for Black women who would like to enter the industry, but also be part of the community of Black women in technology. And it's a fantastic opportunity. It's a fantastic organization that I absolutely love. I spend a lot of time on it, along with a lot of people in a team as well. We were started in 2017, and the key focus was really, entry and progression through the tech industry. We really want to enable learning and development of people and our members, and showcase the talent and inspire people to be in tech and to stay in tech. And one of the events tonight, it's obviously about showcasing the awesome talent we've already got and be inspired by the people that are here. We've got a really large network, and we're growing in the UK and globally. And our network is mixed with loads of different types of people. So we have software developers, tech professionals, career changers, and we have loads of different types of activities that we do as well. This is the fantastic team. I think that we're getting to the point that I almost can't fit all the faces on anymore, but this is a lot of the team, and we work constantly all the time, very hard on providing events, opportunities, training, workshops, everything you want that we can do as part of the community. Some of us are full-time, and a lot of the members are volunteers as well, and we're doing what we can to support the community. A bit of housekeeping about tonight. If you could have mute when you're not speaking. I've said cameras on here, but if we could just leave your cameras off until you want to turn them on, maybe during the networking later on. But for the time being during the session, please keep your cameras off so that we can focus on the fantastic speakers. If anybody would like any closed captions, you can click on the live transcript button to have closed captions whilst the session's happening. And also, if you want to share any reactions, like a clap or a smile or a heart or something, you can click on the reactions button. I'm going to quickly share with you some of the opportunities that we have currently at Coding Black Females. There are constantly changing opportunities. So if you want to get involved in anything, I do recommend just keeping an eye on Slack or on the newsletter to find out what's happening in the network. But the current initiatives we've got open at the moment, so the Black Coder Bootcamp, which is a coding bootcamp to be a full stack developer, that is currently taking applications until I believe the end of June. And that's for entry-level people or career changers based in the West Midlands. We also have a discount with the Makers Academy, and that's for a £1,000 discount off their bootcamp. And again, that's for entry-level people. We have C# courses being given away at the moment. If you go to the Member Zone page, you can find out how to apply for that. We've got an awesome leadership accelerator that's going to be starting on the 15th of July, which is going to be run by ThoughtWorks in partnership with Coding Black Females. And that's so that you can find out how to be a leader, get some support with that, get some advice with that. And there'll be a lot of talks as well running over the 13-week period for people who would like to get involved. So there is an application process, and you can apply again in the Member Zone website. We're also giving away JetBrains licenses. This is a constant ongoing thing. We get given JetBrains licenses every month. So if you would like one, join the waiting list and we can supply them once we have any available. A few more opportunities. We are running the Back to School drive, which is to support children going back to school in September. So we're taking applications at the moment from any parents or guardians who would like support with getting their children back to school. And when we say that, we're looking at providing backpacks that may have some equipment, stationery, uniforms, or things that you may need. We're only providing 50, so please put your application together, and then we will do some means testing to figure out who we can supply those to. If anybody here would also like to support with that, we've also got another link on the website which shows you how to support. So that could be with a financial donation, or you might want to donate some notebooks or some stationery or something else that we can then use to put these backpacks together. We also have a coding, music and audio for web workshop, which is starting soon. That's going to be run by a professor who is based in America, but he works for the University of York, and he's going to be running a coding workshop running over 2 weeks on music and audio for web, which sounds pretty interesting, and I kind of want to know more about that as well. And we have opportunities coming up all the time, so do register interest. You can go to codingblackfemales.com/member zone to just register your interest, and we will send you out an email when we have new opportunities coming out. We also have the job board, which has a bunch of opportunities. We have new jobs posted weekly. You can also sign up for weekly job alerts, and if you're in the newsletter, you'll get alerts there as well. And it's a great way to find a new role. We are starting to support companies and our members with actually finding new places that will be suitable. So if anybody is interested in looking for a role and would like a bit of extra support, then do get in touch and we can start pairing you with companies as well. And one of my most favorite things in the world ever is our Visible in Tech campaign. And that is essentially, we release a new story every single week of a Black woman in tech in the community. And it's absolutely fantastic. I love it. And we want more people to sign up all the time. So I think the next deadline for this is probably end of June, maybe mid-July. So do get your applications in so that we can then feature you on the website and people can see how awesome you all are. So moving on to tonight, we have got these fantastic women who are going to be speaking to us tonight about leadership. Everybody here is in a leadership role. They've taken the lead and they've done something to really do something within the industry, in their organization or externally. So it's really exciting that we're going to be able to hear from them this evening. So we are going to have Catherine Tingle, Dion Condor-Farrell, Denise Dube, and Safia Babier, and they're all going to talk about their experiences and share some of that with us. Really exciting. So this is a quick program for the evening. This has changed around a little bit, but we'll be starting with Safia, and then we'll move on to Denise, Catherine, and then Dion. And then there'll be a Q&A session. So if any of you do have questions for everybody, we will answer those towards the end. But if you've got questions during somebody's talk, then feel free to drop those either in the chat or on YouTube, and we will make sure that we ask the speaker at the end of their talk. We will then have some networking time if we have time for that, and we'll move on to give everybody, well, not everybody, one person will get a prize at the end of the session as well. I'm not promising to give everybody a prize. That's not going to happen. So towards the end, we'll wrap up, give out one prize, and we'll move on. But we are good to get started. So, Safia, I'm going to hand over to you to start and do your talk.
Right. Thanks, Charlene. I'm gonna share my screen and we can start. Can you see this?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for having me tonight. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna talk a little bit about myself and the project that has been very close to my heart for the past year, and tell you basically how I link my professional, my day jobs to my kind of weekends and evenings through the talk. So who I am, first of all, I'm Safia. So I'm a senior product engineer at a startup called Alva, and I'm part of the founding team at A-Touch called A Touch of Color, sorry. And so this is where I am right now. What it means to be a senior product engineer. So product engineering is kind of like a specialization, as far as I see, like in software engineering. So some people choose front end, some people choose back end. I got drawn very quickly towards product, and what it means for me is having the ability to basically put something together pretty quickly from 0 to 1, right? So you have nothing, and then you have a product. And I've been working for like a lot of startups for the past 15 years or so. And this is really where like I found my my groove. That's really where I'm my happiest. There are like a few things that few principles that I can see throughout my career about being a product engineer. And I'm gonna also tell you all about these right now, kind of explain like how they translate to my like that side project that I talked about, A Touch of Color. So the first one is start with why. So you're an engineer, right? And so you receive a lot of specs either from managers, product manager. Like if you want to be like a good product engineer, you have to start understanding why you're doing the things you do. And it means kind of really laying together the business, the users, the data they generate, and the code that you are writing yourself, right? Always understanding like the reason why you are coding. The second one is to live and breathe lean startup, which is a product development methodology that has been there for like around 10 years. And one of the principles, like the main tenet of this is called build, measure, learn, right? So you build something very quickly, you put it out there, you see the data that it does, you try to learn from the users, and you kind of repeat that loop as quickly as you can until you have like a mature product, right? The third one is make friends. As a product engineer, you find yourself like really at the center of a lot of things, and it's important to talk to as many people as you can around the organization, right? I mean, marketing people, I mean, sales people, customer service are super important because if you do not have the opportunity yourself to talk to your user and the customers, they do. And they will have like jobs and motivations that are linked to this. So like super important to kind of build your network inside the organization to be super valuable in what you do. And the last one, which I like quite a bit, is own it. And that what it means for me is to end features or products after they are released. I think like the way we are taught coding or engineering at school is really, you know, you code the things, you deploy it, and then it's done, and it goes into the ether, and you never hear about it again. And as a product engineer, basically you're expected to kind of go like beyond this, right? Like when it is released, like, can you make sure that the user are using it the way you intended to? Is the data going the way you want? Is the money, right? Like, is the business getting any value from it, et cetera, et cetera? And so it's again like all of that, the loop and is kind of finished at that point, right? On a day-to-day, what it means for me as a product engineer in a startup, that's basically how I spend my time. So I code quite a lot still, about 45% of my time. And I also assume like some part of like tech leadership and product manager. So I'm not an expert in any of those things. I'm a like very proud kind of jack of all trades, master of none. I see my role as someone that is being able kind of to see the product as a whole and kind of pull people in different expertise when I need to. But I'm roughly able to kind of put something together, joining all of those kind of abilities whenever needed. But today, so what I wanted to do, like the second part of the talk is going to be about A Touch of Color, which is, as I say, like a small project we started about a year ago. And I want to tell you about it and see how like I linked this to my professional life. So first of all, this is us. So this is the mischievous six, as they call us. The entire team behind A Touch of Color. So we have Barbara and Leonie, the co-founders, Chidera business development, Dr. Eva doing the data, and Solange and myself doing like engineering and product. We met last year online mainly. We met for the first time like a couple of weeks ago in Hoxton. Lots of fun, and so we meet every Saturday for 2 hours, just as a volunteer project. The mission that we set for ourselves was to empower employees of color to make informed decisions about their career. And I'm going to get a bit deeper into this right now, what it means. The problem, as we saw it, is this. The problem being that for the past few years, a lot of brands, a lot of corporate, a lot of just businesses are starting to understand that being woke is valuable, is good branding, right? And so what we see is a lot of claims around diversity, around inclusion, about wokeism, essentially, like everywhere. The problem is that we see a lot of this, especially after the protest last year, like a lot of PR stunts, a lot of buzzwords, a lot of DI training. I'm sure you're all familiar with all of this, but nothing changes, right? And so what we wanted to do is to keep companies accountable and help them improve, if they need to, around their D&I policies. And so as a first iteration, again, as I said earlier, as product engineer, you work iteration by iteration. The first thing that we did is we wanted to build kind of a black glass door, right? So the idea was being you rate your company's diversity and inclusion on our website, and that will help us keep those companies accountable and help them improve. So this is what we built. We built like a small website and we added a Google survey. Google survey asking a lot of questions about which company are you working at? What is your ethnicity? What is your gender? Like, what are your feelings around the diversity and inclusion in your company? Like a lot of questions. And so we did that for a little while, for like a few months. But then it appeared after a few months that we were going into like a few challenges, like a few things. So I'm gonna talk about those three now. Like the first thing that was a bit difficult is that we gathered some personal information, no name or email, but we're asking a lot of kind of ethnicity, religion, gender, etc. And so people are very concerned that they would be identifiable through that data, and it's a public website, and we didn't really offer any guarantee that that data would not be exposed somewhere. The second one, which is linked to this, called what we call the lonely Black employee issue. That's if you are the only person of your entire team or your entire company being in a minority, it is very unlikely that you would go on a public website to share your grievances or even your joy about a particular company, because you are the only one. It's very likely that you would be identified, right? And the third one is that with the mission that we set for ourselves, we wanted to change the companies and kind of help them change their D&I policies, but it meant that we needed a substantial amount of data to kind of be able to reach out to those companies and make any kind of change. But obviously, I'm sure anyone that had tried to build a website before, that how difficult it is to bring people to your URL. And so with all of those things, after a few months, basically we're starting to kind of rethink what we wanted to do and kind of trying to maybe refine the problem a little bit. And so that's how we come to our second problem, the more pressing problem, which is, again, let's look at that slide. A lot of claims, a lot of things, brands are telling us a lot of things about the way they see the world and what they want to do. And the problem is not so much that nothing changes. The problem is that it is changing, in some places, not in all places. But for us as employees of color, it is becoming incredibly difficult to understand which one is which, right? So as an employee of color, we think that it is difficult to assess a workplace inclusion and diversity before you actually join the company itself. And so we're starting to do a bit of user research. And so we stumbled upon the three ways that people are trying to solve that problem right now. So the two on the left are Glassdoor and LinkedIn, right? So those are very good websites, incredible at what they do, but unfortunately, they are very well targeted at the majority of people, right? They are, if you're trying to talk about ethnicity, if you are queer, if you are Muslim, etc., it's unlikely that you will find people kind of rating their companies on Glassdoor or LinkedIn and against those specific dimensions. And the third one on the right here, which is word of mouth, right? That's basically what people do. They ask their cousins, their friends, etc. Did you work at this particular company? How did you find it? Should I apply, right? And then we started to think about, okay, so this is basically the work of communities, and there are plenty of them in the UK, in London, that are already doing this work, right? So Coding Black Females is a great example of this, where we all share like lived experience, and thus we share a lot of trust like amongst each other. So if I look at like zoom in Coding Black Females for a little while, what it does, like what Charlene just explained, right? Like during the great intro, is that we have a lot of opportunities that are kind of sent to the community in terms of jobs, internships, and grad schemes. We have a lot of help and mentorship amongst the members of the community. And all of this is happening through like an informal settings on Slack, on WhatsApp, like meetups, etc., etc. And so all of those communities that I just show you do the same thing, right? And then we thought, okay, so given this, like, is there a way that we could help transform that chit chat that is happening on those settings into a reliable source of information about the D&I, the diversity and inclusion of the workplaces where we all work at? And so, aimed with that goal, basically, we started to build, and what we built, we made a Slack app. So the idea here is that you could rate and recommend workplaces to help your community. And in turn, you can find the most inclusive places for yourself, and all of this on Slack. So like, I like the Slack motto used to be like where work happens, and so far it's going to be where change happens, right? So you don't have to leave. You're already on Slack, you're already part of the Coding Black Female Slack. Basically, you just go there, you don't have to go anywhere else. And so I'm going to try to give you a demo if I still have some time. You can scan the QR code if you want, and I will get you directly into the Slack, the Coding Black Female Slack. Or if you cannot, just go on your phone and just start typing a touch of color on the jump to input here, and we'll just get there in a second. But I'm going to give you a demo. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can still see it.
Perfect, thank you. So this is the app that we built. Like the first thing that you can do here is to leave a review. So leave a review means that I can select a company. So I'm going to go for Microsoft because it's easy. I'm going to say that I'm still working here, so from 0 to 2 years ago, and I'm going to choose the office, for instance, in Reading, just outside of London. Clicking next, and then, oh, the demo gods are not with me. Let me try another one. Deliveroo.
So we're currently seeing your slide as opposed to Slack if you're showing Slack.
Let me share again. Is it better?
Yes, we can see it now.
Perfect. Thanks, Sharon. Well, let's hope that this works because it just crashed on me. That's one of the problems of live demo, isn't it? So which company am I reviewing today? I'm going to go for Deliveroo, just to see it works. I worked there for, let's say, 3 to 5 years ago, and then there we go. So then we're going to ask you like a few questions. It really takes like less than 3 minutes. I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically we ask you, like, do you have colleagues or leaders that look like you? Inclusion, asking you around, could you bring yourself at work, like your full self at work, aspect of your culture or religion, if you felt including in your team, and you can add any kind of like, contextual information that you would like to bring around that particular metric. Career progression, so asking the same thing, like your perspectives were including decision making, you received constructive feedback, the promotion process was clear to you, and same thing, you can add contextual information here. And the last one, would you recommend this company to member of your group? And you can say, well, definitely not. Now, yes, be careful, and most definitely. And so I'm not going to save here, but once you save, basically it will be added to the list of reviews that have been already added by the list of, by the members of our network. And so this is like, in essence, like the app that we built in the past few months. Let me go back to my slides just to finish the talk, and then just a few things that we need to say because we get those questions a lot. A few things that we guarantee: we do not store any personal data. It's just literally like a Slack ID that we don't store name or email or pictures, etc. in our app. Like the reviews will never leave the community. It always stays in Slack. There is no part of us that wants to publish the things on the web. Safety, only share what you're comfortable with, no personal data again, and everything that you delete will be completely deleted from our servers. We do not keep those information. And as a quick summary, where we are right now, we have onboarded 3 different communities. So Coding Black Female, so that's where you can go on the Slack and start leaving reviews today. Black Devs UK and the Tech Network group. The people that we're trying to reach are employees of color, mainly professional and in the tech industry for now. And coming soon, like, by the end of the year, what we'd like to do is to publish a report about the insights that we gleaned from all of those reviews, onboard like a lot more communities in the next few months and open to other industries. And yeah, that's the end of my talk. Thanks for listening. Please scan the QR code, go wide, leave us some review, and just help your community, like choose their best workplaces. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you so much. You know how excited I got the first time. I saw it, I kind of went a little bit crazy, but that was absolutely fantastic. And I think it's a really clear illustration of you kind of seeing a problem, taking the lead and fixing the problem, if you know what I mean. Absolutely love it. I'm really excited about people leaving reviews. Please do, because one of the key things we want to do is make sure that we're working with the right companies, so that we don't put people in places or support companies that aren't supporting the community, if you know what I mean. So definitely really excited to see all of that. You have had a couple of questions come in. So one of them from Nigeria, Tawit, sorry if I've said that incorrect. What are the 3 key skills needed to be a successful product engineer?
I would say curiosity, or like you really need to be like across a lot of things in the business. I don't think they are like very linked to being like a product engineer. I think it's engineering as a whole, but resilience, because like especially when you work in startups, it's like you iterate on a lot of things, but they are not all guaranteed to work, right? So you put something out there, sometimes the users just don't care, and you need to go back to the drawing board. So like resilience is very important. And the third one that was given to me by another engineer is like a good sense of humor, because trust me, like it could be stressful. So like kind of take everything lightly. Nothing is that important at the end of the day. It's just software. It's just code. So that's my 2 cents.
Amazing, thank you. And another question that we've had about ATOC is, did you find much backlash from other communities? That's from Liddell Smith.
We didn't. Like the communities that we onboarded so far, the first one we approached, it's not that we had backlash from anyone else. It's just like we are moving like just at the pace that we can right now. And so we didn't hear anything negative at all. It's just like we're trying to reach out and get people in. It just takes a little bit of time to kind of onboard people, but nothing negative as far as I know.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I know that everybody in the chat has really appreciated everything that you've spoken about as well. If anybody has any more questions for Safia, we've got some time towards the end where we can ask more questions to the entire group. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am going to invite now Denise up. Hey, how are you?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome.
We can.
Thank you.
Awesome. You're all good.
I absolutely love Safia's presentation. It's so good.
I can't wait. I'm already looking at all of the reviews. Okay, I'm going to hand over to you, Denise. And yeah, thank you so much. Looking forward to your talk.
Thanks. So I know it's a bit weird. I'm looking at a different screen because I'm using 2 laptops because my personal laptop has decided to not work with the internet. Don't know why. So bear with me a little bit. I'm going to see if I can present my slides. There we go. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can. We can see your screen. Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So hopefully this works. I'm not a Windows user, so I'm really going to be struggling today. So As Charlene said before, my name's Denise, and I work as a senior software engineer at Kazoo. It's a huge startup in the online car sales industry. I work in the handovers team, and we're in the process of building a progressive web app to help our car delivery specialists with the handover processes at our customers' houses and at Kazoo collection centers. Basically, the following presentation, like this is the outline, right? I'm going to structure it really around how I got to where I am. I'm going to give examples from when I was not a leader, but when I was shown how to be a leader. And then I'll talk about how I'm trying to embed those same principles in my life. And in spite of like right now, not currently have a leadership title, I used to have one, I used to be a tech lead, but now I'm just a generic senior software engineer. I still use those lessons to help me progress in my career. And it's like a form of wielding influence without authority. So my journey into tech was via high school. I attended Wellington Girls College in New Zealand. And in my last year of school, I joined a club called the Tech Angels. Now, the Tech Angels program was started there, and it was formed of high school students who were given specialized IT training during the school holidays. In turn, we were expected to give back by mentoring a teacher and providing support to our peers. The Tech Angels were a mechanism the school used to drive adoption of technology within the school. So I got to make 3D design, build websites, create PDFs, make some cutting edge Flash animations. And I was partnered with my German teacher who I mentored and supported with setting up a website. Now, you would think that I would have immediately gone to university and done an engineering degree. I did not. My family was convinced I would become a doctor. My grandmother had a direct line to like the big man himself who told her that I was going to become a doctor. And parental expectations and my own insecurities led me to do health sciences. And I think this is where the first opportunity for leadership is really afforded to all of us. I mean, think about it this way. In spite of my strong tech background in high school, somehow I fell through the cracks. You'd think that doing something like the Tech Angels, mentoring others, getting all these extra tech resources and attention, that other people and myself included would see tech as being a viable course of study. I think getting girls into tech is difficult, right? If you get the opportunity, go back to your high school and show what opportunities are actually available. I think it's really crucial to get young women to consider tech as a viable opportunity. And this is not something that's going to directly improve your career. I mean, not immediately, but if you can have this attitude with people who have no concept of tech, I feel like it sets you up to be able to encourage those who are in tech to stay in tech. So talk to your mates, your little sisters, your next door neighbor about what it means to be in tech and support them. I think I would have given anything to have this kind of encouragement instead of having to figure out myself. And having to figure out for myself actually that what I actually wanted to do was software engineering. Anyway, I wound up graduating with a Bachelor of Applied Sciences, majoring in software engineering. And I got my first job at a fintech company called Accelerator. I stayed with Accelerator for 8 years, and I worked in Melbourne and Sydney, Bangalore, Minneapolis, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I would fly weekly from Melbourne to Sydney, staying in nice hotels, free accommodation, a daily generous per diem, the works. It was amazing. And it actually almost didn't happen. Basically, I was hired by Accelerator, but they didn't really know what to do with me. I was the first junior hire they had. And so I basically sat in the office and forwarded mail to the London HQ. And some of you have probably had that experience where you join a team and they don't really have a plan for you. Well, I spent almost 3 months hanging out in the office, going for pints with the most senior consultants. And then one of my colleagues asked me to consider why Accelerator would actually keep me if they didn't need me. It was like a bucket of ice cold water. So whilst I had been twiddling my thumbs waiting to be spoon-fed a career, he'd been looking at other opportunities for things he might learn in order to try and get off the bench onto a project. So he found an opportunity in high performance computing, and he saw me, a junior, fresh graduate, old doe-eyed and floppy-eared, and he brought me on his journey at work. And that's the thing, right? Whilst he wasn't even a senior in his role, he encouraged me and he took me along. He took the time to pass on documents and training he found. I mean, we crammed all the online documentation, did all this training and certification, and I got a career out of it. For the next 4 years, my primary role was an HPC computing consultant, putting enterprise grid solutions in different banks. I think this is the first thing, like you lead by bringing people along with you. When you identify an opportunity, look around and see if there's anybody else around you who might benefit, who might be in the similar boat to you. And this is literally what Coding Black Females is about, right? It's a bunch of women coming together, sharing these opportunities, showing each other support. And my partner has got a saying, which is, I think he found this on the internet, but it's a rising tide lifts all boats. And I love that, right? We all bring each other up. So let's see, we've got 4 years of grid computing work. Then I come to London to make a more permanent move into tech consulting. So the tech consulting branch of my company. So I was going to be proposed for more straightforward tech roles, mostly as a developer, and I had very little programming experience in the preceding 4 years. I had been a pure consultant. So when I got here, my CTO made me do some training, but he also took a direct interest in nurturing my technical progression. We used to have this maze solving coding assignment, and we'd get prospective joiners to do it. So you basically had to implement a graph solving algorithm, DFS, BFS, doesn't matter. And he made me do the assignment. After I thought I was done, he reviewed it with me and showed me where I could make improvements. First improvement, write tests. So I did the assignment again. And once again, he sat with me, showed me where I could do better. And that's literally how the cycle began, right? If I am going to point to an individual who showed exemplary leadership in my life, it was him. Taking time out of your day as a manager to give direct help to juniors is an aspect of leadership that I think needs to be more widely shared and emulated. I watched a talk by Simon Sinek on why leaders eat last, which, by the way, is the same guy who wrote what Sophia was talking about, which is Start With Why. And basically, in Why Leaders Eat Last, he talks about how leadership is about giving up your time and energy for others. It's about making yourself available to others, being of service, establishing an environment where others feel safe to actually do the job instead of worrying about politics. And my CTO did not have to do what he did. He could have just pointed me to a computer with an internet connection and said, figure it out yourself. I was established in the company, and it was expected of me to be able to switch into tech on my own, but he didn't. He took the time to sit with me and actually give me one-on-one mentoring. And the craziest part is, it wasn't even just me. It was every single person in tech who needed it. If you're a leader, I think it is your responsibility to support the people under you. You have to put your needs first. And you have to guide them in their careers as well. So I've talked about, and right now I've been talking about past people whose leadership abilities helped me get where I am. And those were examples where I've witnessed leadership and learned lessons. And you might be thinking, oh, how does this kind of fit into leading without authority when you're a manager? Well, right now I'm a senior software engineer. I'm not a tech lead. I'm not a manager. I'm just an individual contributor. But I know where I want to head to in my career, right? I love being a developer. I love writing code, and I want to do this for as long as I can. I want to do the principal, architect, engineering director, CTO, super boss lady with a vacation house on Mars route. I want to do all of that. And for that, I have to exhibit the qualities that will inspire others and help them build their confidence in me, right? And I have to do it without having an explicit authority or having a specific job title. This is where leadership without authority fits. As I've said before, leaders need to have the following attributes. They have to have empathy. They have to care about people. They have to look for those opportunities to lead, and they have to be generous with their time and support others' development. And none of those things require you to be a boss lady. I think true leadership is when you inspire people to follow you, where they choose to go with what you say because they want to. And in a work setting, this is really only possible when they feel they can trust you. So how do I apply what I've learned in my everyday work? We'll do the easy one, right? Empathy and caring about people. When I see someone lost in the office or a call goes out for volunteers to help with something, put my hand up. At a minimum, I get to make a new friend. And there's like a certain level of awesomeness that one feels from acts of service. Being empathetic means just not immediately assuming that, a terse email is because the person sucks, Reach out, see if there's something else going on. You never know, right? It means sitting with the lonesome person in the canteen instead of leaving them on their own. It's like the smallest little bits of humanity that lead to surprising ends. One day at work, I helped someone, like a new joiner with the coffee machine, right? We started talking. And since then, we've become really good friends. And he's also my neighbor now. And it also helps that he's a mad genius at PHP. He has an obsession with making the perfect steak, and I'm a willing participant in that journey of his. But what I'm trying to say is empathy and caring about people is a win-win. You shouldn't just do your job. You have to engage with what's going on around you. You got to look for those opportunities to lead. You know, there's a book by Tfl. It's called Leading Without Authority. And one thing they talk about is find a problem that no one is addressing and is affecting people and solve it, right? That's another easy way to kind of lead without authority. So a way I apply that, you know, I found that my team and CS were not actually talking to each other, right? And solving that was as simple as have a chat with CS, set up a Slack channel, and make sure that when we break something, we let them know, right? It's like as you progress in your careers, you will find yourselves being asked the same old questions. Describe a time when you recognized a barrier to the team achieving their goal, or when was a time when you challenged assumptions? And these are the same questions that you get asked over and over again at these job interviews, but they're actually there to see if you have the capacity to be proactive and curious, and if you have a willingness or drive to make things better. They're literally looking for someone who's demonstrated that they can wield influence, even if it's not their core responsibility of their job. And the other two, being generous with time and supporting others, they go hand in hand. In my case, I'm really good, in my opinion, with setting objectives. My objectives are personal, they're smart, and I take them from whatever role I'm into the next. You know, so currently they have been knowledge, vision, and talking. And yes, I do give them catchy names. I'm going to learn a bunch of things. That's knowledge. I'm going to learn how to use those things to come up with technical strategies. That's vision. And I'm going to learn to articulate that vision better using the right terms at the appropriate level. That's talking. And it doesn't matter where I end up. Those are the three things that I know I have to work on in order to progress my career. And something I've just always done in my career. And it's worked out pretty well for me most of the time. And when it comes to setting objectives, I will sit with my workmates and help them come with their own tailored objectives that they can use. It's not my role to do this, but helping out and help providing my own perspective and the tools I use might actually benefit someone. So I do it. And it doesn't have to be that complex. It can be, you know, sitting with someone and helping them put their CV together, or providing some timely, actionable feedback, or and it can be, you know, a little bit harder, mentoring someone. Back in my first role, if that colleague had not supported me, you know, I probably wouldn't have gotten into grid computing, right? And if my CTO had not been generous with his time, well, I probably would have just given up and gone back to finance. It's easy to get caught up in titles and structure, but actually leadership is about whether or not you're engaging, whether or not you're helping others, whether or not you're using your influence for good, regardless of your position. And having experience with those things is also what people are going to look for when they're hiring and they're promoting leaders in their organizations. And to distill it into like a single line, and I think I definitely stole this from a book, by the way. A leader's job is not about being in charge; it's about taking care of others. And that's me. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Absolutely love your energy as well when you speak.
I get caught up.
And it was awesome to hear about you know, your journey, but also how you are a lead, even if you don't have that title that says lead, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I guess what I would like to understand is, you mentioned, you know, being influential and doing that sort of thing. In your current role, how do you have to be influential in the role that you're in currently?
Oh, okay. So this is like an interview.
Sorry.
I think it's also part of just being a senior in general, right? I think a senior's role is to help support the entirety of the team. So when I see someone struggling a little bit, I'll go and have a chat with them and just check to make sure they're okay. It's also about not being afraid of management. So that kind of influence is a little bit harder. So we have these split level meetings where you skip your own boss and you talk to someone who's like your boss's boss or your boss's boss's boss. And there's an aspect of that which I think I try and do really hard, which is to be candid. They call it it's like super honesty, like rabid candidness. I can't even describe it. Yeah. Where if they ask me a question, I'm going to actually give them an answer. And it's that like radical candidness or radical honesty, whatever it is. It's hard to do, because it does put you a little bit, you know, it makes you very vulnerable, right? But in order to support my team and to actually like be of service, I feel like that radical candidness and radical honesty with my senior managers about what is actually happening and how the team is actually feeling is necessary. Because otherwise, people don't realize what's actually happening within the team itself because we just try to hide, try to keep it secret.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And everybody has said that you have been absolutely inspiring. So thank you so much, for your time and hearing all about you and your fantastic self. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up we have the fantastic Catherine Tingle. Hey, Catherine.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me today. And can we just say how amazing it's been so far. Denise, you are an amazing storyteller. Your energy is phenomenal, and I love seeing the app also that we were first shown. It's absolutely amazing. So a little bit about me. So I sit within technology leadership at Sainsbury's, and I've been in the
Catherine, sorry, your audio is a bit
is it not working? Okay, maybe jump to Dion and we'll come back to me in the end.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, Dion, are you able to jump in?
Hi.
A quick swap. You okay to swap around? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to hand over to the fantastic Dion. I will leave it over to you now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hopefully I've sorted out my issues.
I think it is the night of technical issues today, so it's all good.
I'm just going to share my screen. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Good. That's a good start. Hopefully this will go okay. Right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, really fantastic talk so far. Touched on a lot of things that resonated with me, and I hope I can live up to the expectations. So I just wanted to come and talk about stepping up into leadership. Those who don't know me, I've been in tech for around 20 years. I started off at a company called Electronic Data Systems on a graduate scheme after finishing uni via HND and degree and still not knowing what I wanted to do. Knew it was technical-ish, but not exactly which direction I wanted to go. So just to buy myself more time, I joined a 2-year graduate scheme, and then kind of stayed in that job probably a bit too long, 5 years, and within that kind of hopped from starting as a C developer, kind of getting pushed into that area, then deciding to switch and teach myself Java, because that was the latest and greatest thing at the time that all my peers were doing and learning and getting support with. So I had to teach myself in my lunch breaks from a book. And after successfully teaching myself, getting professional certification, and then feeling like I'm a professional and wanting to be taken seriously, the reality didn't really set in. It took me another 5 to 6 months to get anyone to take me seriously and to allocate me to a business critical project. Jumping onto a project was the Job Centre Plus job vacancy kiosks in the job centres, which I believe they're still there, still working. that was really good. It kind of gave me confidence, you know, feeling like I was a professional and I was contributing to something that was going to make a difference. Moved on from there to University of Nottingham, working on a student portal, and then University of Manchester, developing their portal from scratch, and then eventually moving to Transport for London in 2007, where I've been for the last 14 years, working on a range of corporate applications, and then more recently moving into customer technology in the last 4 years. So that, I guess I became a senior developer when I moved to University of Manchester, and it was the progressions have always been moving jobs until recently. So I ended up being a senior dev at Transport for London. My last project being the Tfl Go App, so as a senior Android developer. It's a travel planning app that helps everyone, but it's heavily focused on accessibility, and going from kind of users having to use a PDF to work out how to travel the network is now everything in one app, pressing a button and able to find out the step-free directions for a journey. So that has been really rewarding, and if I'm honest, I never really envisaged myself moving away from development. I figured it took me that long to be taken seriously as a developer that I was damn well going to be a developer for life. And I had no interest whatsoever in leading or managing anybody. Until I think about 3 years ago, people started whispering in my ear about the possibility of me moving into a leadership role, and I fought it as heavily as I could. And then I think when I started getting involved in community aspects is when I realised the bigger picture. So getting involved in community work through my involvement with UK Black Tech, at TfL with the Women in Tech community, and doing public speaking for a range of women in tech related communities, kind of opened my eyes that there is a problem within organisations, but me volunteering my time and trying to do talks and inspire people isn't enough. And me also being at the level I was at senior developer and constantly moaning about the lack of females coming through the pipeline, and whether it fell on deaf ears or some will say there is a pipeline issue where women are not that interested in tech, which I think is a load of rubbish. It kind of dawned on me a couple of years ago that maybe I need to step up and be at a different role and a different level to have a greater influence in the decision makers around recruitment and various other strategies. And so this has been a roller coaster of a journey. I've argued with a lot of people and trying to explain to them that I love to code, and the thought of me like not doing any kind of coding whatsoever, it's like no, I just couldn't see myself not doing it. So I got introduced to a role, agile development lead. As I said, it's something that I've fought against for a long time. And I was kind of convinced that it would be the right way to go. It was kind of sold to me that it's a role where that I would be able to mold the role into what I want it to be. And with the work that I was doing with the TfL Women in Tech community, I was inadvertently doing a lot of leadership related things anyway, although I didn't realise at the time. And it was highlighted to me that I was doing a lot of leadership things anyway, so I might as well just step up and to be official. So I was trying to understand what leadership was, because I didn't see myself as a leader, and people were telling me that I were, but to me, it just didn't resonate. And because I wanted to stay technical, it was like, well, you know, the two didn't marry to me. And then having experience of previous managers throughout my career, some were greater than others. I kind of remembered the negative side of it, and it's just something that just didn't appeal to me. So I set off on this journey. It took, I think, about 2 years for me to even get to the mindset of becoming anyone's manager and being in a leadership role. So I just wanted to share some of the steps in the preparation that I went through. And hopefully this. Okay. So the first thing is plan ahead, which is something I didn't do. I think what helped me get into a leadership role or be able to pass the interview assessment stages is my involvement with the tech communities, externally and internally into my organisation. And if you get an opportunity to do that, I would jump at it and grab it with both hands. So I got involved with Women in Tech community at Tfl. I basically shared my experience of being involved with tech communities externally and tried to replicate that experience within Tfl. So I was going to Women Who Code events, and they were hosted at different organisations, and they were introducing people to Android development and back-end development, API development, full stack, etc. And you were able to network with people, get to talk to companies that you would never get to speak to before applying or interviewing with them. And that's the kind of experience I wanted to replicate at Tfl. And so, due to my experience, nobody else within the group had really got involved with external tech communities. So I naturally ended up leading that discussion and bringing ideas and encouraging people to kind of come out of their shell and their comfort zones, go and experience some of the great things that are available within the tech community externally. And that gave them a better view of the vision that I was trying to sell to them. Also with my involvement with UK Black Tech, being initially wanting to be behind the scenes and organise things for corporate members, that kind of really helped me to develop kind of organisation skills, leadership and influencing skills as well. So again, if you get those kind of opportunities, go with them. If then the opportunities are not there, I would encourage you to create them yourself. So within TfL, I was getting rather frustrated at the fact that there's a lot of women within the organisation without a technical background who have a desire to move into tech. And so I kept coming across them through various networking opportunities. And so I decided to create an event myself to bring these ladies in and kind of get them to mingle with some of the technical professionals, as well as bringing in an external community to network, to kind of open the doors and raise the profile of TfL as a tech player, as it were. And that really allowed the senior leadership team to see that there was an appetite within the organisation for people who are interested in moving into technology. And that inadvertently helped to raise my profile. I didn't ask for permission. I just booked a conference room and contacted external communities and some of the staff network groups within TfL and invited them. I could have got away with it doing it undercover until I realised that I needed funding for catering, because you don't bring women after work to events without providing food. But yeah, if you get the opportunity to create those kind of opportunities, just go for it. The next thing is community. In order to change my mindset of becoming a leader, I relied heavily on the community or the circle of people around me. Coding Black females played a big part in that. I spent many an evening with Charlene and Denise and Solange and other people talking through my internal battle of wanting to move to leadership but not, and wanting to stay technical on what do I do. So having a support group around you is imperative if you're thinking about moving into leadership at any point. Another area that I delved into is sponsorship. So the Mayor of London launched a sponsorship programme in 2018 called Our Time, Supporting Future Leaders. And somebody alerted this to me, sent me an email inviting me to apply for the programme. And I initially looked at the cohort of people who were on the first cohort, and initially dismissed it because I didn't see anybody there who was from a technical background. And so I automatically kind of thought, well, leadership and this kind of support is not for technical people. A couple of months later, I was away on holiday and I got a reminder and sort of landed in St. Kitts and decided, oh yeah, go on, I'll just put a cheeky application in, and then forgot about it. When I got back to London, I got an email saying that, oh, you're successful, you've been awarded a place. And again, I'm going into this and I don't really know, does it fit me? Like, you know, is there anybody that I'm going to get as a sponsor going to be from a technical background? Like, you know, it might all be a waste of time. Little did I know that whoever matched participant with sponsor found somebody who was quite high up as at a director level at an external organisation, and matched me with them. So it's a guy called Jim Wood, who's the director of IT services at London Legacy Developer Corp. And I don't know if it's divine intervention, but it was the best possible match that could have ever been made. He's a mature white man. He's very open-minded. He wanted to support women from women of colour, women from Black, Asian, minority backgrounds. That was specifically mentioned in his application, which took me aback, to be fair. And since we met him, we've hit it off brilliantly. We get on so well. I can share anything with him, and it's because of him why I have ended up in this role today. The program was only for 6 months, and 18 months later, he's still my sponsor, and he's still, I was going to say cursing me out, but he's still being really supportive, and he's constantly challenging my mindset, because I told him straight, I have no interest in managing anybody because I don't want to deal with anybody's problems, and I don't see myself as a leader. And the guy made it his mission to change my mindset within 12 months. And he made me see the bigger picture. For everything that I want to achieve, which is to get more women into tech, you have to step away from day-to-day coding. You have to get into a leadership role. You have to have more influence at senior level with senior leaders. And you need to push that agenda, and you can't do that at the level that you're at now. And so he helped me to review my CV, many different iterations. He helped me to work out what my ideal role is when I didn't know what that was myself. He's helped me to see the value that I bring to my current organisation and to not undersell myself. And he forced me to put myself out there and to apply for jobs at other organisations, whether I wanted them or not, whether I saw myself being able to do them or not. he made me aim higher than I would ever aspire to be, while battling with me in the process. And I thank God that I put that application in for that sponsorship. You definitely need to have a mindset shift. I've literally gone from I can't do everything myself. I can't be stubborn anymore. Trying to work things out and myself.
Recording in progress.
Did somebody
Sorry,
say?
carry on. There was somebody, it was audio.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, you definitely need a mindset shift. It needs to be more about other people and trusting people, supporting people, and having to learn patience in order to get people to do what you want to do when you need them to do it. And that was a difficult process for me. And I had this mindset anyway, but it's more important in the leadership thing. You need to invest in yourself. So whether that is time or money, but looking out there for resources to get you to get the leadership skills that you need, get the mindset shift that you need. So I've done courses on LinkedIn. I've signed up for programs. I think Facebook had a developed app program for leadership, people new to leadership. I've done training within TfL just to try and literally help with the mindset shift of me becoming a leader. And the transition point, if I'm honest, I went through a range of emotions when I finally got the Agile Development Lead role at TfL. And a lot of these happened within the first week. Pure fear, because I'm going into something that I've never done before. I didn't know what to do, and literally feelings of loss. I've been doing what I've been doing for nearly 20 years, and the fact that I'm not going to code anymore on a day-to-day basis, absolutely. I was literally in mourning for the first 4 weeks. I literally felt like I'd sabotaged my career. Imposter syndrome definitely showed up again. And I'm battling with that every day, to be fair. But seat at the table, at one point thinking, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to be kind of have influence at senior leadership level, and then reality might hit in, or actually no, yeah, this is just the start. You know, I feel like I've got to prove myself again, but at a different level with a different circle of people. I did experience some bad vibes and negativity from people, but I'd say so far the majority of people have been quite supportive and encouraging, which is good. And then I have no idea what that is at the bottom. Oh, yeah, I had thoughts of, will I actually survive this? I had a lot of stress the first couple of weeks, but that sort of subsided now. I'm also in a situation where I've having to do my old role and the new role at the same time for a period, and this is mainly due to staff shortages. And I've put there a picture of Tom Cruise because it literally is like Mission Impossible. But a bit of survival tips, so if you get asked to do this, diary management skills is an absolute must. My first week, I must have had about 50 meeting invites that come through within the space of a couple of hours, and having to try and sift through and work through what is the right meeting that you generally need to be at, and what the meetings are actually about, how do they affect your team and resources, etc. You definitely have to be realistic. You can't do coding of features and attend 6 hours of meetings in one day. It's just not possible. You have to manage people's expectations and definitely learn to say no. Otherwise, you will burn yourself out. And I definitely learned in the first couple of weeks to plan in well-being breaks, because especially with working from home since last year, March, you will go stir crazy. The settle point, you will rapidly learn new skills. So active listening, multitasking, definitely going to different projects, because my role involves a lot of project management related things, as well as line management, as well as resource management, budget management, and liaising with various stakeholders. There's a lot of context switching that goes on, and as much as it was frustrating me in the first couple of weeks, I've sort of come to terms with it now, and it's just kind of making sure you understand the background of all the different pieces of work that are involved that are going to feed your project or the app that I'm working on. I'm having to get involved with the recruiting, interviewing people, assessing CVs, making decisions as to whether you're going to give somebody a job, whether you're going to let somebody step up from developer to senior developer role. It's been one that's come up a lot in the last month. So, you know, you're making decisions about people's lives, basically. Definitely need negotiation skills and conflict management, and impromptu speaking. I found that you go to meetings and you're quiet, it doesn't really help. So the active listening helps, and then being able to add some kind of value to the meetings that you're attending seems to raise your profile and adds more respect for some reason. But the biggest thing I learned is patience. I definitely realized that I need to not let go of certain characteristics. Definitely integrity, my authenticity, and my caring nature. I'm known to be very direct, and I have no intention of changing that, although it does ruffle a few feathers. But I just think that you should be yourself and not give yourself up just to try and fit in, you know, into the status quo. But always when you're speaking with stakeholders and your colleagues, always looking for win-win outcomes. But yeah, the most important thing is continue to be yourself and never give that side up. The benefits of moving into a leadership role for me so far, I've only been in the role for 72 days, but I definitely feel like I'm finding purpose now, and that's more to do with the line management side and helping people set their objectives and think, you know, a year or two ahead of where they want to get to, and then helping them to work out a plan of how to get there. Definitely changing lives. One of my mentees who's kind of worked away through secondments and apprenticeship has now interviewed and become a permanent developer. Because of that situation, she's now able to buy a home after renting for years, and that makes me feel good that I've been able to help somebody make those kind of decisions and change their life. It definitely gives you more influence at senior level. I'm still trying to navigate that and trying to work out who I need to influence and how to go about it. But sort of stepping into a leadership role, you need to kind of identify your circle, be networking, and definitely work out who you need to start influencing. And hopefully by stepping into this role, one of the things that my sponsor is highlighted is that my agenda is to get more women into tech, and I need to start navigating how or create a strategy of how I'm going to do that, because that's the whole reason why I've stepped up, right? I'm not interested in anything else. I want to see more women get into technical roles, hands-on technical roles. So the sooner I start thinking about that strategy, the better. And I'll just leave you with this quote. What I've realised is that I never wanted a leadership role, but I realised I was fighting something that I'd never experienced. And because I've now realised the bigger picture and what I'm trying to achieve, it was the best thing that I could have done. And so if you get an opportunity to step into a leadership role, whether you think you're ready or not, I would say explore it, grab it with both hands. If you don't feel like you don't know what to do, what you're doing, just say yes and learn how to do it later. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I think that was really insightful, absolutely. And loads of people, again, have found that massively inspiring. And I love the fact that you started by saying that you didn't plan for leadership, you didn't do any of the planning. And then you spoke about all the things that you did to make sure that you would end up as a leader. Absolutely amazing. I know you've definitely inspired me so much as well. Like, I know that we wouldn't be doing what we're doing with Code Black Females without all the things that you've done to support. So definitely a leader, absolutely. Thank you so much. You've had a few questions come in. I'm going to ask you one question, and then we'll ask the others in the later on Q&A session as well. How did you stay mentally grounded during the stage of transition? And that was from Julia, Oregon.
How do you stay mentally grounded?
Yeah, when you were transitioning from a senior dev to a lead into the lead role.
You have to talk to people. You have to talk about what you're feeling. So my sponsor really helps. Like he's more aggrieved in. He advocates for me more than I do myself. And he cusses me a lot as well, which is good. But yeah, just literally talking for, like, there's no airs and graces, right? There's no putting on a show, trying to play like I've got it all together, because I haven't. You know, I've been in this game 20 years, and half the time I'm still trying to work out what it is that I want to do, what it is that I'm passionate about. It's taken me 15, 16 years to find my passion, which is mobile development. And then the thought then that I've worked so hard to get there and to be taken seriously, and now you want me to give that up and not do that on a daily basis. So I've had some serious battles over the last couple of months. You know, applying for jobs, going through the interviews, trying to sell myself and everything. Getting the promotion role, and then there was at least a 14-day period where I was dragging my feet from signing the contract, because I was actually like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm doing it to make my sponsor happy. I'm doing it to make this person happy because that person said I should this and that, but I'm giving up what I love. And I've literally, by sharing these emotions and what I'm going through and talking it through with people, it's helped me to see the bigger picture. And it's like you're getting constantly frustrated because there's no movement happening with more women getting into tech. So this is a way to get there. So, you know, you have to make some compromises sometimes. And I for me, you know, I've made my peace. I've spoken to the Father, and so I'm happy to go this way. And like somebody said to me, if it doesn't work out, like, I can always go back to coding, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely, completely resonate as well with all the emotions that you said that you felt. That's really difficult. Thank you so much, Dion. That was amazing and really insightful. And yeah, we'll ask some questions as well later on when we've got some more time. Thank you. And now we have Catherine. Hey, Catherine. No. But we could kind of maybe speak again.
Yeah, I was told that it improved.
Oh, there we go. That's perfect.
Dion's got her thumb up. Yay!
Yeah. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay, I'll just have to hold my laptop in a very awkward position. Do you mind sharing my slides for me in that case, Charlene?
Okay, let me do that. One moment.
Amazing, thank you. All right, so whilst they come up, hopefully my sound is all good for all of you. I'm really enjoyed each and every one of these talks today. I hope that I don't disappoint being the last one. But my name is Catherine Tingle. I sit in leadership at Sainsbury's. I've had quite a unique kind of journey so far to tech leadership. Again, kind of echoing what Dion was sharing just now, if you had asked me where I would be 10 years ago, I definitely would not have said sitting in technology and within leadership at that. So to give you a bit of a flavour whilst the slides come up. So I've actually got a legal background. So I studied law. I went through all of that rigmarole. I really did think that I was going to stick with it, hence why I went to law school and I was on the solicitor kind of track. I was doing the vacation schemes at the shiny kind of huge Magic Circle and Silver Circle firms. And then I don't know why, but I just had this epiphany moment in life where I was like, you know, those 8-9 years of studying of law, actually, I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to use the skills that I acquired having studied law, but I don't want to be a lawyer. And that's where I went into consulting instead. So I was at a boutique consulting firm, Gartner, for a few years, and then I joined Deloitte, and I was within consulting there. Consulting is quite a hard gig. It's very cutthroat. I feel that a lot of the skills that I have now in terms of my resilience and even the leadership skills that I have now and the type of leader that I'm growing to be and want to be, and I think that I am, is really centered around some of the negative experiences that I've had in my career. So within consulting, I've kind of traveled. Denise was telling us earlier about all of the amazing business travel. So yes, I had a taste of that. Emirates first class and business class flights over to India and Dubai, and lots of what sounds exotic places, but working and business travel isn't, as for me personally, as glamorous as it sounds, although I do love traveling personally. And, you know, I was going into kind of client offices out in India because my client at the time was offshoring their finance operations to an outsourced service center in India. And I was the only Deloitte resource. I was pretty junior, I was only a consultant. And also maybe 9 months into kind of my tenure at Deloitte. So it's quite daunting being the only kind of representative out in foreign soil. And when I walked into the Indian offices, it was like silent and lots of eyes like, who is this woman? Who is this Black woman? And you can imagine that when I then went into the leadership room to assess their operations and make sure that the knowledge transfer from the UK team to their India office was going effectively and according to plan, and they were sticking to the kind of the governance procedures that I had put in place at that time, you can imagine the looks and the expressions that I got at that time. And it was very difficult. I was out in India by myself for a month. I could not wait to get home. I think after that, I was certain that I kind of wanted to leave consulting, at least Big Four consulting, and get into industry. And that's when I joined Sainsbury's. So Sainsbury's, I've been there for coming up to 5 years now, and it's been a really interesting journey. I joined the business after they acquired Argos. So if you didn't know, I think it's public knowledge now that Sainsbury's does indeed own Argos and also Habitat, and we have the Nectar loyalty scheme, as well as Sainsbury's Bank as well. So it's quite a huge organisation. It's multi-brand, it's multi-channel. Obviously, we've got multiple websites, and it's a complex business. So I joined the business straight after the acquisition, and I joined the digital team, and I was sitting in the internal consulting digital strategy team, and I was responsible for leading the first commercial program, which was implementing To Clothing into the Argos business. So on argos.co.uk, you can go and shop it still. You can go and pick it up in a Sainsbury's supermarket, or a store-in-store where we have an Argos kiosk within a Sainsbury's supermarket. And it was a huge program. There had a lot of technology. The tech stacks definitely were not speaking to each other. So we had to work on a lot of workarounds and integrations and APIs. And that was my first true taste of like digital tech, but also leading an end-to-end program. So yes, it was a digital and tech program, but naturally, because of how big of it was, there was lots of different work streams from, supply chain and logistics. How are we going to get the clothing from argos.co.uk from once a customer has clicked that button and put it in the basket and fulfilled their order? How are we going to get that to their home address or to the shop? So it was truly end to end, and it gave me a taste of life as an internal consultant compared to an external consultant. And I knew that I wanted to continue to grow my career within that space. Again, I think that I went into that role with rose-tinted glasses almost, thinking that, okay, I've experienced consulting in the Big Four and also boutique consultancy. I've traveled, I've got some amazing experiences underneath my belt, as well as, a few scars, a few scratches, a few bruises along the way. And I thought, okay, I'm now on kind of UK soil. I won't be living out of my suitcase. And I guess some things were true and some things weren't true. So I say that to say that always go for new opportunities. They may not always be as great as you initially thought they would be, because challenges appear, I think, in every role and every journey that we're on. But all we can do is equip ourselves with the learnings of the past and also lean on people that we can trust. And I think that is very important to start thinking about, okay, let me try to build almost like my circle of, or my board of advisors and my support network, whether you're in a new role, in a new company, or you've moved to a new division within a company. I think it's really important to try to network and to build, like I said, that those boards of advisors, people who are going to be able to support you, sponsor you. Dion's spoken a lot about sponsorship today, and I will also, because it's incredibly important. So I delivered that program. Argos was headquartered in Milton Keynes. I live in West London, so I was travelling a lot. for that. So I was really keen to make sure that I was based permanently in London and not constantly driving up and down between Argos headquarters and more London-based headquarters. And that's when I became a strategy lead. And this was a great opportunity because I still had the exposure to digital and tech, but also all of the commercial elements. And I will go on to explain why that was so important when it came to tech leadership. So then I did that role for, I think, 1 year and 9 months. And I felt like, okay, is there any more room to grow? I didn't feel like there was within that particular team that I was in. And that's where I found a role back within technology as a technical program manager. And again, it was great because it was aligned to the skills that I had built for the previous kind of 7-8 years at that point, where it's all about program delivery, it's about strategic thinking, it's about unblocking kind of issues, risks, being able to formulate plans and also influence people to come on the journey. And that's influencing up, so to senior leadership as to why this is an opportunity for the business and why we should be doing this and ploughing, hours and resource into making it a possibility, but also influencing down as well, so to different teams as well. And naturally, within such a huge organization such as Sainsbury's, our engineering teams have huge backlogs. They are always pressed for time, and there's always got something conflicting. So influencing is hugely important. It was hugely important in that role, and it's hugely important in my current role as a senior technical program manager. So I thought that I always wanted to be in leadership. So I guess that's a bit different from what we've heard already today. But I wasn't shy, or I wasn't naive, should I say, to the fact that, one, Sainsbury's is very hierarchical. It is very difficult to get into leadership within Sainsbury's. It takes a long time to put it into perspective. One of my best managers that I've ever had up to this day, she was in the business for 15 years, over 15 years, and that's when she got into leadership. I've been in the business for less than 5 years, and it will be 5 years in January, and I'm in leadership. So it shows that one, God is good, but also that you have to create your own opportunities. You have to put yourself out there. I had to be very forthright in being very intentional and strategic in terms of the things that I wanted to achieve in my career at that time. And again, I wasn't naive to the fact that there are no Black or there are not many Black people within tech leadership or leadership within Sainsbury's or the FTSE 100. And I guess us all being women of colour on this event tonight, we know what that comes with. So, like I said, I've had lots of less than fortunate experiences in a plethora of ways over the last 10 years. And I think that when it comes to kind of overcoming those situations, it really does take a thick skin. It really does take resilience, and it's I think it's also really important to always cling to your why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to get into technology? Why do you want the promotion? Why do you want to be in leadership? What is your why? What is driving you? So when you do get those knockbacks, you can remind yourself of your purpose, and you can be driven by that purpose, to stay on that course. And it may look and it may feel different at the time because you've had to divert yourself or divert your course, but I firmly believe that we land exactly where we're supposed to be, even with the failure along the way, even with the bumps and bruises along the way. It's all there to serve us and to make us better people, better leaders, and it allows us to give a lot more to our direct reports, our mentees, and people that we coach directly or indirectly, because you just never know who you're inspiring or who's watching you, and learning from you either through osmosis or from a distance. You just never know. So that brings me on to my next slide. If Charlene can help me, thank you so much. So certain things that I've had to remember. Some things are, I guess, innate in me, and some things I've definitely had to learn. So the first thing is be bold. I feel like this is definitely something that I've had to learn. I haven't always loved putting myself out there or being very visible, but actually it's paid dividends, plugging into certain communities and building a personal, professional brand within the tech and strategy and program management kind of space, which has stood me in really great stead when it comes to interviews and when it comes to promotion and leadership as well. You need to remember that, yes, you might have a job, you have an employer, but it's not against your employment contract to also build your external brand and to be active within certain communities outside of work. I think that it's very important, especially as we grow as professionals and within leadership. As a hiring manager, now that I am plugged into certain communities, I can now lean on those communities to get people who look like me into the rooms, and make sure that, when I look around, it's more diverse than what it is currently. That's something that I'm really passionate about. And also be consistent. So one thing that I pride myself on is the quality of my work. Definitely as I've grown into leadership and things are incredibly busy, I've had to embrace the word no, or not right now, because of the sheer volume of work and demand that's on myself and my team. But one thing that I do cling to is that consistency of my output, my team's output, the way that I show up, the way that I think about things, the way that I approach things, because again, it feeds into that personal branding piece, which is really important. And also I would add, be consistent in who you are. So that's that kind of integrity lens. Show, act with integrity, show up as yourself, allow your team to trust in the leader that you are, that they know that they can come to you and they know that they're going to get a particular helpful response, whether it's constructive criticism, so that they can be better, or whether it's a helping hand, whether it's to be a soundboard and a safe space for them. Be consistent in who you are and the leader that you are. I've taken a leadership course in the past year. So Microsoft was doing a leadership course, and it was all around leaders who coach. So that's around being a leader that basically inspires your people to be the best versions of themselves. And it almost, you almost create a problem for yourself, because you invest in them so heavily that they become so good that they obviously get promoted. They either leave their roles or leave the company. But our memories are very, very long. Human memory can be sometimes short, but when it comes to the people who have made a positive impact in your career, your memory will be very long. And I do want to be remembered as a leader who has invested heavily in my team and in my people. So be consistent. And finally, I think I've spoken a lot about this, but we have to be resilient. Like I said, failure, the bumps, the bruises, it's all learning, and we need to embrace it. Just, within tech, we've, with agile principles and all of an iterative kind of processes, we build, we test, we learn, we iterate. It's the same thing in terms of how we should be viewing ourselves. We have to be resilient. We have to have a thick skin. And through being resilient, I feel that I've been able to grow in my confidence and grow in my voice. Like Dion says, she's direct, I'm direct also. We have to share our voices and share our opinions on things, especially in rooms where we are and women are few and far between. And it does take courage, but it's worth it. And I would just say that sometimes the road less traveled can be the scary roads. I didn't know whether actually moving back into tech, was I slowing down my progression? All of those like little voices that I think we all have in our heads. But actually the road less traveled usually leads to beautiful destinations if you just stick with it. So those are my last thoughts.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Thank you. It's been.
Thank you.
There we go. I'm back. Again, I know that everyone found that really insightful and absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much, Catherine, for your time, for your amazing talk. What I'm going to ask now is if the other speakers could turn their cameras on, and then I'll ask all the questions to all of you. But thank you. You've all been absolutely amazing. I couldn't have asked for more. It's been amazing. Okay, so a couple of the questions that we've had come in are, one was actually directed to Denise, but it'd actually be good to get other of your opinions on this as well. So somebody has asked, what did you do in leadership to be taken seriously? Like, what did you do to be taken seriously?
Okay, so I'm not a very serious person. I make lots of jokes. I get distracted easily. And I used to have this really bad habit where I used to be really blasé about stuff. I'll just off the cuff make a remark like, oh, I don't care about that, it's dumb. But with my one-on-ones with my engineering manager, right, he would know that I was on the ball, that I was like working hard on X, Y, Z. I was reading this, I was studying that. But my outward, how I showed myself to other people was of this like happy-go-lucky, casual person who's like fun and just doesn't take anything seriously. And then I I got told off for it. I had a one-on-one where I literally got told off for it. And he said, like, you got to remember that what people see of you is what they're going to actually walk away with, right? And it gets even worse, like, because we're Black women, right? We're going to walk into a room and people are going to have already these assumptions about who we are, what our abilities are, and what our limit is without us even doing anything or saying anything. So if you're walking around being blasé about your career and stuff like that, it just reinforces that already negative stereotype that people have about you and your abilities that is based on absolutely nothing. And so yeah, and so the biggest change for me was learning to be more outspoken and outward about the stuff I do and the work that I do in order to do good at my job. So this is when I started like actually participating in external things that are not just insular to my team, helping other people in my team, talking about work activities in a positive light that are actually positive. Like this whole objective setting thing. I used to make jokes like, oh, I don't give a shit about objectives, they suck, but actually work really hard on objectives, right? For me to be taken seriously, it was literally taking myself seriously as well, right? I'm not going to tell anyone that I'm unprofessional. I'm very professional. I'm never going to say that I'm bad at my job. I'm very good at my job. And I'll say it out loud and I'll say it everywhere, because otherwise nobody's gonna take you seriously if you make yourself, a clown. I know we do this in order to feel more comfortable in like really high stress situations. If you're the only Black person in the company, maybe you want to have the certain vibes that people, I don't know, accept you or something. But it does come and bite you in the behind if you don't show people what it is you actually represent, like how good you actually are. Yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you. Oh, that was awesome. Okay, so another question, and I'm going to ask this to Catherine, if that's okay. What is the one thing about leadership that you would change? Sorry.
I would change how hierarchical it is. Sometimes I feel that leadership, it can stifle decision making, it can stifle kind of progress and pace of change, because sometimes teams always seek permission rather than seek forgiveness, getting on with their jobs because they're capable and they know what they're doing. And if something goes wrong, seek forgiveness, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Sainsbury's will still trade. It's okay. So I think that sometimes it creates that distance between teams, and they think, oh, leadership, scary, especially the more junior colleagues, and especially if they haven't been exposed to you for whatever reason. So I would say that sometimes it does stifle that kind of decision making and open thought processes that leads to like creative solutions and outcomes that you don't have to just rely on your leader to provide that direction. You can create your case, you can create your strategy, bring your thoughts to the table. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And the question I have here is, I'm going to put this one to Dion. You spoke a lot about your development and all the things you started doing. So, you were developing your skills by building up internal communities and then doing training and doing all sorts of things. Somebody has asked, how did you incorporate well-being breaks into you being so busy, like doing everything that you were doing?
Literally in my diary, putting slots in that weren't hidden, saying well-being break, like literally spelling it out. And then initially somebody would come and book a meeting anyway, so you've got it there in big letters, yeah, but then somebody will book a meeting anyway, and depending on who it was, I would go, oh my god, okay then, yeah, I'll miss out on that walk, even though I know like I'm going insane because I haven't been out of the house for 3 days, but no, I'll miss out on that to appease them, sort of thing. And it just got to the point where I was like, well, actually no, I'm hurting myself by not doing it. So now I'm just strict. So it used to be my boss a lot, like he'd book a meeting in and I'll just be like, oh crap, like I can't go now. And whereas now I'm a bit more confident and I'll just say to him, sorry, I need to go for that wellbeing walk at that time. And can we reschedule either before or after? But ideally not after. I tend to put my wellbeing breaks in around 3:30, 4 o'clock, so that I've got no meetings to come back to. Because there's nothing worse than going for a relaxing walk and then coming back and having to deal with chaos. So yeah, it's just putting it in your diary, but being firm when people try to challenge it, because they will.
Great, thank you. I think it's really important, and it's if you can actually make people listen to that little slot as well, it's really important. Somebody has asked, what would you advise to junior developers who do not have a tech lead or engineering manager? Safia, do you have an answer for that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And actually, like I think like the first ever job that I had was in a like very small company in Paris, and it was like very it was like chaotic, I would say. So I definitely can relate to that question. Like what I would do today, I would try to find a mentor. Obviously, like Coding Black Females kind of provide you with someone that's got a little bit more experience and kind of give you some, you know, tips and advices to kind of navigate your career. And short of this, like I think there are different kinds of like people you can approach. There are like the people that are like let's say better or more experienced coder than you are, like on a very technical skills. But I think a lot of engineering is not really about coding. It's about like all of those soft skills, all about the, as I said, like, you know, earlier, it's about like being curious, being resilient, like all of those kind of things. And that you can kind of work on yourself in a way to kind of get those, that mentality. So like, yeah, I would say like if you can find a mentor or kind of read as much as you can about like, yeah, soft skills, like being curious, knowing how to ask a question, like when you're unhappy with something, knowing how to approach your manager, how to approach your lead, et cetera, would be, I think, can be beneficial.
Thank you. Thanks very much for that. Okay, another question. How do you ensure your profile truly represents your skill set? Denise, you're nodding.
I was nodding because it's a bloody good question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to keep updating it. One of my workmates has got this really cool thing where every month he writes down what he's learned, right? So that's one way of keeping track of what it is you've actually done. You don't have to do it monthly. It doesn't have to be this like 6-page paragraph or whatever, right? I can't do it monthly because I can't remember what happened at the start of the month, right? But essentially, you could actually just keep track of some of the cool things you learn. You got to make sure that you actually keep current. So if you look at your CV and you're seeing stuff that you did 6 years ago and it's still in your CV, you gotta kind of crop some of that old stuff that you're not doing anymore. My CV, I had a lot of like Murex, which is like this financial software, a lot of Murex roles in it. I started trimming some of that Murex roles because I'm not a Murex developer anymore. I don't work with it anymore, right? So it's really going back, looking, removing things that are not relevant, that don't actually represent who you want to be, and keeping track of the things you're learning. That's the most important thing. Remember what you learned. Write it down somewhere.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any insight to add to that?
Yeah, I would add that after kind of key deliverables, make sure that you almost keep a diary of the things that you did and what your contribution was to that business critical program, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, try to keep a diary of those things so that you can always go back to it, whether it is to, like Denise was saying, updating the CV, or whether it's to think about preparation for interviews where you need to think about, you know, new examples of things that you've delivered and how you've delivered and what you did and all of those good things.
Awesome, thank you. Lovely advice. I think we've got a fantastic question to end on as well. So thank you very much, Julia. For each of you, and I'll ask you in the order that I can see you on my screens. During your journeys to leadership, what is the one achievement in particular that has made you proud? So Catherine, you were at the top of my screen.
Okie dokie. So I would say one of the things that I'm actually most proud of, and genuinely most proud of, is how much other people have actually progressed under like my leadership and me being their manager. Like I said, even if it means that they've moved on and I've actually helped them in their interview prep and all of that stuff, it's second to none, just being able to really invest and see the fruits of that investment in another person. Yeah, I would say that that's something that I'm just so happy about. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you so much. Denise, you on it.
Julia, you asked some serious questions, woman. I think for me, it's a bit of a funny one. I think the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I've become more true to who I really am. I didn't grow up in a country that had lots of Black people. I mostly grew up in like white majority countries. I was the only white kid in my school, in high school, besides my little sister. And so I never really got to interact with people who looked like me. Therefore, when I started work, it was hard, like always being the one person who's, who looks like you, not having any people who are like you. And then coming to London and being part of a community like this, it showed me that, it's okay. You can be as Black as you really are, right? Like the other day, I was braiding my hair during a meeting and my camera was on, right? I am past hiding who I am at work. I will talk about how I feel when it comes to my Blackness. I will have those difficult conversations and I will call people out when they make a misstep. Not in a mean way, but in a very direct, this is why you can't say the things you're saying. This is how it affects me as a Black woman. So it sounds weird for me to be associating that with a journey to leadership, but I think when you can fight for yourself and for who you are as a person, that's when people look at you and they're like, oh, no, this is not someone who can be walked over. So for me, like that's the thing I'm most proud of, being able to be comfortable in my Blackness, to actually show it at work and to just live it. That's me.
Love that. Thank you. Dion.
What am I most proud of during this transition? I'm going to say I'm most proud of me actually saying yes to a leadership role and putting myself out there. I think when you've been in a job or at the same company for a long time, I've been at TfL for 14 years, and until recently, the last time I had an interview was 14 years ago. And so I had all kind of ideas of how crazy it is out there. And, in the past, I was used to applying for a job and always getting the first one. And so it's been a real big reality shock that putting myself out there, I think it was last year, September, again, because of my sponsor cursing me and like, well, you basically, you're hiding from something that you haven't done in God knows how many years. So just put yourself out there. What's the worst that could happen? They just say no, innit? And then I eventually did. And then I got to like the third stage and then they didn't get the job. And I was mortified, absolutely mortified. And I was like, that's it. You see, this is why I don't do that. This is why I don't put myself out there. So I'm not applying for anything again. That's it. And then he's in the background giving it this, like, oh no, I've just seen this head of digital design thing. I think you should apply for that. I was like, are you mad? Like, I'm not going to go from senior developer to head of some department. Like, come on, like, let's be realistic. So battling. And then again, this year, I guess with Corona and everything, and you kind of realize life's too short, right? So I'm wanting to step up and things are not happening where I am at the time. Okay, so put yourself out there and just learn. I feel like I learned so much from applying for other jobs. And that gave me confidence then to apply for a promotion role at TfL. And just going through those motions and dealing with rejection, which I don't do rejection, hence I don't put myself out. So just pushing myself through that whole process, I'm really proud of.
Thank
and
you.
I'd like people to do it too.
Love that. Thank you. And Safia.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I relate a lot to Denise on that one. I think the one I'm most proud of, like in 2016, actually, I co-founded my own company, like a tech startup, like a SaaS with a friend. So I was like a technical co-founder for like 2 to 3 years. We were making money, like we had customers, like it was all going well. And then it didn't go well, and so I had to leave. But for 3 years, it was okay. And it really gave me like a lot of confidence. I think like very similar to what people have said. Like I think before that experience, I didn't really see myself as a leader, like period. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like a developer for the rest of my life, and keep at that kind of individual contributor level, which is nothing wrong with it. But like it really gave me like that confidence and kind of stop apologizing for the person I am. Like I go into a room, I know I'm gonna be the only one, and it's okay. Like I just chill, and really kind of like this confidence that I got like for the past 3 to 4 years is really like it's been a journey for me. So that's what I'm gonna leave you with.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely amazing. All I can see in the chat is just thank you. This has been inspiring. This has been amazing. I loved it. And I'm genuinely so thankful that you've all taken the time to come along and share your experiences, let people know about leadership, inspire people to be into leadership. And I know that we're going to have a lot more leaders. So you're all achieving those goals you have of making there be more leaders and making sure that we have a voice and we've got that visibility that we need to have as well. So on to the final bit of the day, of the event today. So I'm going to skip the networking. If anything, if anybody wants to do networking, they can stay for like maybe 10 minutes afterwards, and I'll do a few breakout rooms. But I want to give away a prize first. So I've been trying to, whilst you're all talking, I was frantically typing a lot of names into this like name picker thing. So hopefully it's all going to work. But I'm going to quickly show you what you will be winning. So we are giving away today the Little Black Book, a toolkit for working women. I think because, there's so many fantastic women here and we want you all to have a toolkit. So here it is. And I'm going to use a special picker thing that I found online in order to find the winner of the book. So bear with me one moment. Here we have a spinner, and apparently if I press the button, it will choose a winner for us. So I'm going to press the button and see who the winner is of the book today. Cynthia! Congratulations, Cynthia. You won the Little Black Book. So if you reach out and send me a message with your address, then I'll make sure that you're able to receive the book. Congratulations. And very last thing that we're going to do is for anybody who is, for all of you who have attended, I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much for attending. It's been fantastic having you all here today. And yeah, I'm very excited about what we've done today. And we really want your feedback. So please head to feedback.codingblackfemales.com so that we can do more of this, so that we know what you want, so that we know what you enjoy, what you don't like, what you want us to do. So please leave us some feedback there. And you know, if you leave us feedback, maybe there'll be another prize winner. Maybe we could make that happen because we really want your feedback. And also, if you want to get in touch about anything at all ever, if it's like, how do I do this? Do you have this sort of opportunity? If you want to create your own program or something, you know, we've got this platform for you to use however you want to use it. Then drop us an email to info@codingblackfemales.com. But thank you very much, everybody, for being part of today. It's been amazing. I've loved it. I've been inspired. It's been awesome. So thank you very much. Okay, if anybody does want to stay around for some networking, what I'm going to do is make some breakout rooms and maybe just have 10 minutes of meeting a few people, and then we will jump off the call. But thank you so much, everybody, for taking part today, and especially to our speakers, because you were all amazing. Thank you so much. Feel free to turn your cameras on now, by the way, everybody, as well. Oh, wow, people are staying. This is amazing. Okay, I'm going to make some breakout rooms. I'm probably going to put you into groups of 4 and just have a bit of a chat. Say hey, share your details, get to know some people. I
think the video is still live, by the way.
Now, let's stop the video and we'll stop the recording. Oh yeah, and then I turn this off.